بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال جل وعلا في كتابه المجيد والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، ألف لام ميم، ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين. وقال تعالى: وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: من قال لا إله إلا الله مخلصا دخل الجنة. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم. Respected ulama ikram, elders and beloved brothers, we as an ummah, the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the greatest ni'mah that we have by us. And that ni'mah that we have, that bounty that we have, this privilege that we have, is the ni'mah of Imaan. We cannot understand the bounty or the ni'mah that we have by us because we already have it. And we as an ummah need to turn back to Allah, and we need to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it. This Imaan that Allah has given us is such a valuable piece in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that a person who has Iman in his heart, and as long as he is taking the name of Allah on the face of this earth, then Allah will keep this earth rotating, and Allah will keep the system of this world continuing. In simple words, the sun will continue to rise, it will continue to set, the rain will continue to fall into the earth, vegetation will continue to sprout. This is the value of Iman. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that when that last person who is taking the name of Allah in this world, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy this entire world. The world as we know it will come to an end. That's how valuable we are as human beings. The second ni'mat, or the second bounty that we sitting here have to be totally and completely appreciative to Allah for, is that Allah has made us a part of the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is a bounty which we cannot thank Allah enough for. There were Anbiya alayhi salatu was salam that came before, from the time of Adam alayhi salam right until the time of Isa alayhi salatu was salam, who used to make dua that, oh Allah, make us a part of the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Such a great ummah, we belong to such a great Nabi that we don't even comprehend and understand who it is. And we need to understand and we need to realize what is this Iman that we need to have. It's not just a mere utterance or a mere statement. It's not a mere thing that we can just stand around and say it for fun and joke about it. It's something serious, and we don't understand the seriousness of it. But people before had understood it. And I'll give you an example for it. That in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was given the bounty, or was given nabuwat, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam a few years later was now told that he must propagate Islam now in the masses, or towards the masses of Makkah, towards the people of Makkah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam thereafter, he used to go and walk in the alleys and in the gullies of Makkah, and he used to walk in the marketplaces among the shops, and he used to make a statement, and he used to walk around and he used to say, Ya ayyuhan nas qul la ilaha illallah tuflihu. That, O people, O man, O insan, say la ilaha illallah tuflihu, and you will be successful. So one day, Abu Jahl was walking behind the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and while walking behind Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was taunting Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was teasing Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was ridiculing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was making fun of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was with his slave and they were doing it together. And they were walking and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam eventually went away. So his slave asked him that you are making so much of fun, he is your family, why do you do this? So he told him that I understand what he is saying. All the power, all the might, all whatever I have today, the minute I say the statement that La ilaha illallah, then everything falls away. Then I have to be subservient and obedient to Allah. They understood it. As the biggest enemy of Islam, he had understood it. Today, we need to understand the same statement. The statement of La ilaha illallah, the way Sahaba radiallahu anhum had understood it. And then what better example can we get than the example of Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu? How much of sacrifice, how much of difficulty didn't he go through? The Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu, when he had accepted Islam and it became known to his masters, as it was known he was his slave, and it was known now that he is a Muslim, they began torturing him. And what did they tell him? That renounce your Allah. Stay away from your Allah. Say that there is no Allah. But yet Bilal radiallahu anhu being dragged on the sands of Makkah in the scorching heat with a boulder on his chest, he would just one word would come out of his mouth and that was Ahad. There's only one Allah. That Iman that was embedded in their heart of Sayyidina Ammar ibn Yasir radiallahu anhu, when he was being tortured by the mushrikeen of Makkah, he by mistake uttered a word of kufr. He mistakenly uttered a word of kufr. He came crying to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, O Nabi of Allah, what have I done? Am I still a Muslim? Am I still a person who has Iman? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it came out from the tongue, but what was in the heart? He said, definitely Allah was in my heart. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, he's still a Muslim. When Sayyidina Khabbab radiallahu anhu once during the Khilafat of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu was telling people how much he was tortured, and he lifted his shirt and the amount of scars and scabs and wounds that were on his back were present and was shown to the people. And he says, this was done to me by my masters while I was being tortured for becoming a Muslim. What was different to that time to what is current today? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Because if we look and we analyze global media, mainstream media, social media, we all on WhatsApp, using Instagram, Twitter, all these various platforms. And the main focus is a land which is in the Middle East, which is called Palestine, or in Arabic known as Palestine. A specific area in that place which is called Gaza, which is being bombarded daily, day upon day. And not only that, Muslims in general, for the past how many years have been bombarded. As a Muslim, we've been overlooked. We've been told that you people don't matter. We've been called terrorists. When you go through airport security, if your name is Muhammad or Ahmad, or your name is Usama, or your name is Abu Bakr, you are generally called to the side. What is your purpose for visiting wherever you are going to? So as Muslims, we have been made to be sidelined. This has happened before in the past. And that's why they say there's a very famous and apt English saying that says, history always repeats itself. And is history repeating itself? I don't know. That the historians will decide later. But we need to see that we don't make the past mistakes that had happened. So if we look at it today, and the current situation that is going on in Gaza, in Palestine, we have to understand that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam also went through difficulties. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam in his life went through the most amount of difficulties. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to say that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam went through so much of difficulty in bringing deen to the world that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's difficulties, if they were placed on one pan of a scale, and the difficulties that all the other Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam that came before Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam were placed on the other pan of the scale, then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's difficulties would outweigh every single Anbiya that came before him. When we have to go back and we have to look at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the difficulties that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went through and how did he deal with it. A simple example, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went towards Ta'if just after the year of Amul Huzn, the year of grief, after he had lost his beloved wife Sayyidina Khadija radiallahu anha, and he had lost his pillar of support. Sayyidina Abu Talib was his uncle who had not accepted Islam. After this year, he decided to go to Ta'if, and he went there and he decided that now he needs to invite them towards Islam. Cutting a long story short, he went there, people never accepted him, but never left Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in peace. They left Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam going by making the beggars and the street people and the children of the town pelt Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not only did they just pelt Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they sent their dogs after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes out of the town. And this is why in the Quran Allah has mentioned a specific ayat, and I will get to it now. But Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes out of the town, he finds a place, he sits down, and at that moment Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam comes down with the angel who is in charge of the mountains, and he tells, "O Nabi of Allah, this angel has been sent by Allah and he is ready to do what you command him. If you command him to crush the people of Ta'if between the two mountains, he will do it for you without any hesitation." Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he do at that time? What dua did he make? It's a long dua, but the first words of the dua are, Allahumma inni ashku ilayka da'afa quwwati. That, oh Allah, I complain to you about my weakness. As individuals sitting here, myself and every single person in the ummah, we need to look into ourselves and see what are we doing right or what are we doing wrong. As an ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes, we are blessed. As Muslims, we are the best of creation. As whatever it might be, we are the best. There's no doubt. No one can take it away from us. No religion, no person, no government, no military can take that away from us. That we are the best. But we need to realize that. But what was the first dua that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made? He never made dua that Allah destroy the people of Ta'if. He made dua that, oh Allah, it is because of my weakness. It's because of something wrong I did. That's why these people that's why these people don't want to accept Islam. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam thereafter made dua for their hidayat also, that Allah must guide them and Allah must give them Imaan. And later on, towards the end of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life, an entire delegation from Ta'if came and they accepted Islam. Today, if we look at it, the Indian subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, majority of the people that came from those areas are Muslims because of the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Had it not been for the dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what might have happened? A person by the name of Muhammad bin Qasim al-Thaqafi, who had conquered Hind, was the person who came from Ta'if and was responsible for Islam coming to those areas. So my beloved brothers, at the end of the day, we have to understand what is going on in the world is something that we have to speak about. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith clearly says it, "Man ra'a minkum munkara," that a person who sees injustice being committed, فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ, then change it with your hands. Change it with your hands. How? People will ask, in today's time, we in South Africa, 6,000-7,000 kilometers away is Gaza. How are we going to change it? We can write letters. We can change it with our hands. There's many ways to do it. Post it on social media. Create an awareness of it. If you can't change it with your hands, if you don't have the ability, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave us a second solution. Then, if you can't change it with your hands, bilisani. Use your tongue. Speak about it. Be open about it. The injustices that are committed against those people there, our Palestinian brothers and sisters, is not something which is correct. It's not something which is right. It's not something that we as an ummah can stand by and we can say that these things we can let it go. No, we have to speak about it. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you cannot even speak about it, you don't have that ability, then فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. And if you can't feel that wrong is wrong, you can't change it with your hand, you can't say it, you can't speak against it, then at least the minimum every single person should do is feel it in their heart. And what did Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam say after that? وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. وَذَلِكَ أَضْعَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. And that is the lowest form or the weakest form of Iman. So my beloved brothers, we have to understand, we have to make a change in our life. We have to make a change so that the change comes in our ummah. And it will never ever come when we are disunited and when we are on separate pages. We as an ummah have to come together, we have to stand together, and we have to realize that we are one. We are not separated, we are not separated based on color, based on nationality. We are not separated based on social standings. We are one. Sayyidina Bilal radiallahu anhu was an African slave. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam one day told him, "Oh Bilal, I hear your footsteps in Jannah." It was Bilal radiallahu anhu. So many Sahaba radiallahu anhum were equal in the eyes of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is what Islam came to teach us. That before we are whatever nationality we want to be, we are South Africans, we are Americans, we are British, we are French, whatever it might be, wherever we might come from, wherever our origins are from, before we are that, before we are doctors, before we are lawyers, before we are ulama, before we are anything, before we are big businessmen, before we look at our bank accounts, we need to understand that we are an ummati of the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the day we can understand that and we can bring that realization into our life, and every single person can come onto one single page, and Allah will make this ummah flourish and Allah will make this ummah go forward. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us understand what is going on in the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability so that we can make changes in the world to ourselves first. We can make changes to the people, to the conditions that are happening in this world. There are some ways that we can do it by creating awareness of what is happening in the world. If we look over the past month where this atrocities and this bombardment of this little place called Gaza, where approximately plus minus 9,000 people have been killed. So over and above that day, we shouldn't be even saying that they have been killed. We shouldn't even be saying that these Muslims have been killed. In the eyes of Allah, these people are shuhada. And Allah Ta'ala says that بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. That they are in the eyes of Allah, they are alive. يُرْزَقُونَ, and Allah is sustaining them. So why should we say that they have been killed? No, we should be happy for them. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there was a woman who had sent out her husband and her children, and they sent them in the path of Allah, so they went into battle. And when they went into battle, then the husband, as he was leaving, he was a crippled man, and as he was leaving, he made this dua that, "Oh Allah, Allahumma la taruddani ila ahli," that, "Oh Allah, don't return me to my family." So when he went out in battle, all her sons were killed, her husband was killed. She was rejoicing that all my sons are all shuhada. My husband also became a shaheed. So she went into the battle now to collect their bodies, to arrange so that they could be buried. When she went to collect her husband's body and she put it on the camel refused to stand up. And she tried, they beat the camel, they turned the camel, they did whatever they needed to do with the camel, but that camel refused to move. Eventually Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was informed of this, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came and he asked this woman that, "What happened? What did your husband do before he left home?" She said that she told Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, "O Nabi of Allah, that my husband made this dua, Allahumma la taruddani ila ahli," that, "Oh Allah, don't return me to my family." So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah had accepted his dua, therefore Allah is not allowing his body to go back. The best form of death for a mu'min is martyrdom. When Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu was in front of one of the Roman emperors before the battle had taken place, So the emperor asked him that, what have you brought for me? He said, I brought men who love death more than you love wine. As a mu'min, we're supposed to be those who love to die for the pleasure of Allah. As a mu'min, we're supposed to be those who die for the pleasure of Allah. Another Sahabi was captured once by the Roman army. While he was captured, he was about to be boiled to death. And at that time, the king told him, renounce your Islam, leave your Islam, I will give you my daughter's hand in marriage, and I will give you half my kingdom, it's yours. But just leave Islam, and I won't kill you. He said, even if you do it 100 times, I will not leave my Islam. So they asked him, why if you do it 100 times? He said, because Allah will give me the reward of becoming a shaheed 100 times. Understand the reward of becoming a shaheed. Before that person's blood touches the ground, Allah forgives all their sins. What better death can we get? We're looking, every person is looking, and we have to prepare for it. My brothers, it's not easy. It's not something that will come about by just sitting in our homes, but we have to make an effort. We have to constantly, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Jaddidu imanakum, renew your iman, renew your iman. And Sahaba asked, oh Nabi of Allah, how do we renew our iman? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, bring la ilaha illallah into your life. My beloved brothers, I end off with this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for those who are going through any difficulties in the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for our brothers in Palestine especially. And today being the day of Friday, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had said that there is a specific time where du'as are readily accepted. Ulama have given different explanations as to when is this exact time. No one knows exactly when it is, but we should try and engage ourselves the entire day in dua, making dua for ourselves, our forgiveness, our guidance, making dua for the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us tawfiq to bring whatever we have spoke about in our lives. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Yes, at the US consulate in Centon tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We request all brothers to try and participate in it.